What do you get when you mix a podcast, your favorite celebrities, and the chance to make a difference? You get Hearts of Stars. Hi, I'm Jen Silliman, and this isn't just any podcast. It's where heartwarming stories meet action-packed change. Every episode, I chat with stars about the passions closest to their hearts, but here's the twist. Each episode launches Days of Impact, where we rally together to support their chosen cause. Subscribe now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and be part of the movement where a podcast becomes so much more. It's fun, it's meaningful, and it's the perfect mix of entertainment and action. It's so nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Sorry this took so long to get in the books.
No, that's okay. So, how are you?
I'm great.
Yeah.
How are you? I don't know. I'm kicking on.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
That's
Where
good.
are you based? Are you?
I am in. I'm just outside of West Palm Beach in South Florida.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, so I live in a place called Wellington. We are the equestrian capital of the world. So
no way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So everybody comes here to play polo, and it's pretty cool. So we're in season right now, which is.
Are you an animal fan then? Do you get out there on the horses? Right.
Yeah. So we drive through. So my daughter, who's 15, has autism, and one of her favorite things to do is go for car rides. So we're so lucky that we live in this area because we can drive around and see all the horses, and there's lots of them now, and they're like very fancy horses. Well, some of them are very fancy.
Ooh.
I mean, these are like $1 million horses that come to compete in these. It's pretty crazy.
Whenever I watch, I can't say I've seen it in a long time, but when you see the equestrian events at the Olympics and things like that, they always have this beautiful kind of checkering or patterns in their fur that people dress them up with. That's pretty impressive.
And their hair, that their tails have extensions in them?
No,
hair extensions? Yes.
Are you serious? Okay, is it human hair or horse hair?
No, but somebody told me that the other day when I was there watching some the little kids, I shouldn't say little, 12-year-olds were doing their show jumping, where they just jump over the things and they're real low and so cute. But the girl I was with, she goes, they put hair extensions in their tails so that they look fuller, when they jump. And I'm like, that's insane.
That is so funny. The extent to which they go to, that's insane.
Yeah.
But hey, it looks great. Full credit to them.
I mean, it flows through the air when they jump. It's so beautiful. But yeah, some of these barns and stuff, I mean, they're nicer than my house. I mean,
really? Wow.
Most definitely.
So are some of these horses, I assume a lot of these horses are competition level.
Oh, yeah.
Potentially Olympic level.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you ride?
I don't. I don't ride.
Sounds like I'm going to get you out there.
Yeah. So I tried to ride maybe 4 years ago, but I picked a bad month. It was really hot. We have really, really hot weather down here over the summer. And I almost passed out on the horse. I'm this is because they give off so much heat, and then you're in the heat. And I was just I can't do this. So I have to come back in the winter when it's only.
Actually, that's fair. You're right. One thing I didn't anticipate, I've ridden horses kind of on and off growing up. But one thing I didn't anticipate was the sweat that comes off a horse. You don't really see it until you're sitting on it.
Yeah. And
you're wow, you're a sweaty beast.
Yeah. For sure.
And in the south of Florida, I can't imagine they're too dry down there.
Well, that's why. So the equestrian season is from January to April. So once April, the end of April, beginning of May, when we start hurricane season down here, it's a ghost town. There's no equestrian people here at all. And they all go, a lot of them are from overseas, international, horses and whatnot.
That's look, I've been wanting, I think I'd really like Florida. I've never been, but I just get this vibe. I'd really like Florida. So I'll find myself down there one day, riding a horse, trotting along.
Yeah, right.
Didn't know that about Florida.
You would probably really like Palm Beach. Palm Beach is fun.
Cool.
We're about an hour and a half north of Miami. So we're north of Miami and north of Fort Lauderdale. That's
Yeah.
If that's more for the younger crowd, I'm not in that time of my life anymore. So this is a more laid back kind
If
of
I see you
like,
down there, I'll be like, okay,
yeah,
Jen's
no,
back.
not going to see me there. No way. I don't think any of the establishments open up till like 10 p.m. and I am well in my jammies by then.
Hey, I'm dead asleep by that time, so you and me both.
So I'm super
Jen.
excited to just even have you here. I don't think I fangirled at all. I was going to fangirl a little bit just because, I'm a little bit obsessed with things that you've done.
That's sweet. Thank you.
But I'm really excited about this because when I reached out because of this podcast, it was like, this is perfect. I already know that he has something that he would like to talk about. To me, about this Dates with the Dogs, you started a GoFundMe to raise money so that you're able to do this work with them. How did it get started?
Right. Well, first thing, I'm thrilled to be here. So thank you for having me and thank you for going through the rigmarole of emails and getting checks and all that. So thank you so much. And yes, I have lots to talk about. I started Dates with the Dogs as just a fun little tag that I could put on my little Instagram reels that I was making just to garner some attention, something with a bit of alliteration there. Dates and dogs, two great things, unless it's a bad day.
Yeah,
In
unless
which
it's a
case,
bad date.
just give me the dog. So I started it and just putting some stuff on Instagram of my time working at the shelter, volunteering at the shelter, I should say. And I, started putting out videos like that. And people generally like to see dogs doing well and dogs having fun and puppies on their feeds. So those videos, I think, got some attraction. And I started to do a bit more with that. And towards the end of the year, I started playing around with editing videos together of dogs that were struggling probably with, sticking around. They're on a list.
Yeah.
And the first video I made, I went into the shelter and we were playing with this beautiful dog, big pit bull type, total sweetheart. And he was on the list. And that as soon as I finished filming him playing and stuff like that, I got in my car and I spent like half an hour, 45 minutes just in my car editing that video together. And I intentionally kept it upbeat, but the message was pretty clear, like he's only got a certain window. So that video I sent to people at the shelter. They sent it around, it got viewed a bunch, and he ended up getting saved. And it was in that moment that I was like, oh man, like I feel like I have a little bit of skill in something and maybe it can be put to some good use. And what a great thing to put my time and energy towards. And on the flip side, when I spend time at the shelter, I'm not entirely sure if I get more from it or the dogs get more from it because it just fills me with so much joy. And I recommend to anyone, like, it doesn't have to be a shelter, but go and find something that you genuinely are passionate about that you don't have to invest money into, that isn't your career, but that can give back to your community. I'd been wanting to do it for a long time. And I had my own dog for a while there, and anyone with a dog knows that they require a lot of attention and time. But since losing my dog, he is not dead, but I don't have him anymore. So let's be clear about that. I had all this time and I was like, well, I love dogs and I have all this time and I don't get to walk my dog anymore. So I joined up and it's the best thing I ever did.
So do you have one rescue or shelter that you work with, or do you do multiple ones? Because I know it's based because that's where you are. You're based in LA.
Yeah, I volunteer at a city shelter down near where I live here in Santa Monica, and I solely go to that one. However, there are so many all over the city that some need more volunteers than others. And I feel like I'm fairly new to it, probably about a year in now. And I can see myself branching out into other areas. I really do like wildlife. I've always been into nature in general. Like even when I was a kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I've always loved animals. So I have recently signed up with the California Wildlife Center, which deals with native species that are injured or sick in some manner. So the problem with that is it does take they really need people who are medically trained and have a lot of experience with animals. So you can't just jump in with something like that. So I purely signed up for transportation. So if an animal is sick or injured and ends up at my shelter or a shelter nearby, I'll pick it up and transport it to the wildlife center, which is something small that you can do. Doesn't take much time, maybe an hour to get in and back, get the animal. Fortunately, it's not too frequent because the big rescues go straight to the shelter, like anything that's big, but little things like birds, like we get a lot of hummingbirds, which is, the smallest of creatures, but I freaking love hummingbirds, Jen. We don't have hummingbirds in Australia, so when I whip around and see a hummingbird,
beautiful. They're so cool.
Oh my God, they're the best. They're the best. And
they are.
Squirrels, I know, are you a squirrel fan? Okay.
Hayden,
good.
Let me just tell you. I have, yesterday, 8 of them showed up.
Whoa.
I feed them by hand.
Okay.
My husband, who is a saint, built me a squirrel shelf outside of one of our windows. So that when I'm sitting on our couch, they come off and I have seeds, they're sunflower seeds for them, and they'll sit there and eat. I mean, it is the coolest thing ever. So this all started.
That's my dream,
My gosh.
That's my actual dream.
It's unbelievable. I'm going to have to send you videos of these squirrels.
Please.
And so I have squirrels, I have blue jays, I have grackles, I have a painted bunting that showed up yesterday.
Ooh, I don't know what that is, but I'll Google it.
The most beautiful thing. I'm going to show you a picture right now because it is the most beautiful thing you have ever seen in your life. And she doesn't show up very often, but when she does, look at her.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. Stunning. That's the one that was on your porch?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my porch. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that coloring. I've never seen that coloring before.
We have cardinals. We have pigeons. A lot of pigeons. I have about 40 pigeons that show up.
Pigeons are underrated. Super smart.
They are. First of all, they kind of look a little dumb. But I'm telling you, I have watched them eat. And the way that they move is just super cool. But I think they're very smart. I don't know.
Considering what they were used for centuries, like homing pigeons, how did all of a sudden we're they're the dumb bird? We literally use them to save lives and communicate for hundreds of years.
Here's my squirrel. What's a dumb
bird?
Isn't it so cute? So that's the shelf that my husband made me. Oh my God, I love it.
See,
so
that's my dream.
So much. It's very cool.
I love squirrels. Again, another animal we don't get in Australia. And so I'm just fascinated by them. When I go for a morning walk, if I see some squirrels and a hummingbird, I'm like, days mate already.
Days, mate.
And I found, it was a little while ago now, probably last year sometime, I found a baby squirrel. Actually, it's around this time because I think it's around this time a lot of animals are having babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And squirrels, especially if it's another male squirrel, will push young males out of the trees. So if you see a squirrel on the ground, take care of it. It's probably injured because it's been pushed out by another male. So I found this baby squirrel, and he wasn't in good shape, but took him in and kind of took care of him for a few days until I could find a rescue that could rehabilitate him. And turns out there's a lot of amazing people out there who just spend their entire existence helping animals survive. And there was this one lady up in Sherman Oaks who has hundreds of squirrels that she takes care of during this season, babies and stuff like that. Surely she gets no sleep whatsoever.
Right.
But because they need to be fed every 2 hours. It's insane.
Yeah, it's like having infants in your house.
God,
sure.
100 of them.
100 of them.
My God.
Who I'm sure are not on the same schedule. So you're constantly just feeding somebody.
I can't begin to imagine.
Gosh.
So I dropped off little baby squirrel and left her a little donation and stuff so she can help them out. But there are people out there like that who, and I think about it as well with the shelter I'm at. There are volunteers there. I try and go in 2 days a week, depending on my schedule. And there are people there who are everydayers, who are there every single day, spending their own money on really prime treats. So these dogs can, have a great treat to listen with. Sometimes if you don't have a good treat, you won't be able to get their attention for some things, whereas a high value treat, you got their attention, you can help with training them. And in the long term, that like increases their adoptability because they're a better dog, right? So just these people that spend 7 days a week there because they want to help blows my mind. And we should be helping those individuals out as well as the dogs, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Did the Los Angeles fires impact what you were doing at all? Did you see a
Yeah, it was
change
pretty...
in I mean, were there a lot of animals being brought in?
Right. So yes, and that was a weird, crazy time. Where I'm at is kind of a few streets back from where the mandatory evacuation zone is. So we were getting kind of close. It was pretty freaky. The air quality was terrible. We had ash lining our whole courtyard out there. It was terrible. And fortunately for me, I could escape, right? I went out of the city for a few days so I didn't have to breathe it in. And our animals had to breathe that in the whole time. Like the dogs couldn't escape. But our shelter was able to export all of the dogs to a different location. I think they went maybe to Northern California. Can't quite remember. But all of our most of our shelter dogs went on like a charter flight. I think it was chartered by Best Friends, which is an organization here in LA. Could be national. So Best Friends shipped them all out, and we had all of our kennels free for an intake of dogs. And we got quite a few dogs that were lost in the fires or found during the fires, most of which have been recovered by their owners. But some have been there for a while.
Good.
Yeah. So, but now we've got, our kennel's pretty much 75% full again now, which, we're in constant battle with space and things like that. So that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to put all the information up of how people can creating your own little page on my Hearts of Stars website. So
that's so kind of you to do. Thank you.
Will be kind of there, links to finding you on Instagram and your podcasts, and which we're going to talk about in a minute.
The dogs,
so everything will be there.
Thank you. And you, Jen.
So you're asking people to donate. So tell me how the money is being used.
Right. So I've set up a GoFundMe called Dates with the Dogs. You'll find it right there somewhere. And we want to use the funds to... I set it up with a friend of mine, Ezra, actually, who was on a show I was on. You might recognize him from that. And we set this up together, and I would like to use the funds to go towards, again, buying those high value treats for the dogs, because I see that as a long-term, a massive addition to the dog's adoptability. Like I said, if you can train the dog, you can teach the dog how to walk on a leash. That's everyone's main concern when they bring a new dog back. I can't walk it. I can't even walk it down the street. So if we can really get the dog's attention and teach them how to walk, that increases the risk of, that decreases the risk of them coming back to the shelter because the owner can't walk them. High value treats are a huge one. I'd love to spend some money on getting like universal Visa gift cards for the 7-day-a-week volunteers who spend all their money on these things. So I understand that might look like it's going to a person, but these people give everything they have to these dogs. So that is also another huge value addition to these dogs, the dog's adoptability, because they're spending time with people. That's huge. And the more they can get out of that cage and spend time walking, training, even interacting with humans, the less aggressive they'll be, the less scared they'll be, and the higher likelihood that they'll be adopted. So that's a roundabout way that adds so much value. Little things as well, like getting t-shirts made, really fun, eye-catching t-shirts made for the volunteers who walk the dogs. This dog is fun, playful, cuddly. Ask me about them, when they're on walks for visibility. We do have a lot of kind of adopt me scarves and things like that.
Yeah.
Which are very eye-catching, but not attractive. They'll get your eye, but it's just it's like a high-vis vest.
Yeah. Right.
Does the job, but can we make it cuter for a cute dog? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I'd love to play in that space as well. There's just so many things. The cool thing is I have a bunch of great followers on my Instagram, and I ask them for ideas, and they have some incredible ones. This follower of mine, Sam, who's donated to Dates with the Dogs. Thank you, Sam. She came up with this great idea. I have a podcast, there's my hat for Blondies Out Loud. And she had a great idea. She was like, you should do a podcast adoption event where you have a live podcast, which we're planning on doing this year, a few live events. And she said, you could mix that in and do a live podcast adoption event. And my brain just went absolutely crazy with ideas.
Right.
Could do like date roulette with the dogs, like every 10 minutes, bring a new dog in. Dax can meet this dog. Hopefully I'll know the dog from spending time with it at the shelter. Just like little things like that. And yeah, it's just a world of opportunity. And if any of your listeners or you, Jen, have any ideas, I'm all ears. We've got money to spend and it's all going towards these dogs, 100% of it. So bring your ideas forward. We can't wait to use it. Fortunately, a great roundabout way, bear with me here. In a roundabout way, the fires brought attention to the dogs and we were inundated. I have never seen our shelter so packed with donations. And thank you to everyone who donated to shelters in the LA area. I've never seen so many boxes of food, piles of blankets and clothes, and a case full, literally full to the brim of toys and things like that. So thank you to everyone who's done that. You don't truly understand how much that means for the dog's well-being in the shelter. And we're at the stage now where that's kind of started to be depleted. And I really want to start using this money. So now's a great time to donate if you would like to donate to Dates with the Dogs, because now we're going to start spending it. So get ready.
Nice.
Look at my Instagram for ways we're spending it. We'll see if we can get Ezra out shopping with us.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I do have an idea.
Okay,
Here's my
shoot.
idea.
Yep.
So for the t-shirts, and a lot of people I've seen have been doing this, is putting a QR code printed directly on the shirt that will go, it can go wherever. So if you wanted to go directly to a donation link, so literally they can donate $5, like right from their phone, like standing right in front of you. Or it could just be a link to
send them to the dog's profile page. Yeah.
To the dog. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you could do with that. So,
That
but yeah,
is
putting it on your shirt, it's
genius.
so fun to see people scanning your shirt. Like, what are they doing? We're like, yeah,
Scan
right.
it.
We're like, here, scan my shirt.
That is such a brilliant idea.
Yes.
Brilliant.
So there you go.
Okay.
That's my
Look, we can
idea.
use some of the funds to set up a QR code. I don't have heaps of experience with QR codes, but I've done one for my own personal brand and I got just a bad free option. So let's get a good QR code.
I only use the free ones too. So I'm certain that if you pay money, there's probably legit ones that you can, that are better.
That's genius.
For sure.
That's genius.
Cool. So yeah, I think you should do that. Let me know if you need any help with anything. Because
Thank you.
There's so many things you can do remotely now. And I love doing stuff like that. So
I think what you're doing, even with this podcast and this show, You've Got Hearts with Stars, is already such a beneficial thing for everyone. Like my dogs, I think about like just the dogs in my shelter, and I'm spending an hour with you here today and it's going to add so much value to their lives. But you do this for so many different causes. So what you're doing is already extremely helpful. And thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I love it. Right. We call it a podcast with a purpose. So
Love
we
that.
can, and we'll do 7 days of like a lot of social media push for all of this. And hopefully we'll get at least bring some awareness to it and some money. So
that means a lot. That means a lot.
That is the goal. Yeah, absolutely. So I have seen some of your interactions with the dogs on your Instagram. You take them all different kinds of places. So talk to me about like what that's like. You pick them up. I mean, I'm sure there's ecstatic to see someone get out of their cage that they're in, and to go outside. What is that experience like with you? I mean, what's that like?
It's such a joy. I mean, once you get to know the dog, it becomes truly a joyous experience. The first time is you're just learning each other. They're learning you and you're learning about the dog. And every dog is entirely different. Like yesterday, this amazing group of young women, I think they were just in their last year of school or something like that. They're all in a house together and they've been fostering dogs from our shelter. Such sweet girls. They're like they're home. Some of them are home while some of them are at school. And they're like, we have a home. Let's see if we can foster a dog. And they've been fostering dogs from our shelter. Yesterday, I was helping them pick their next foster. One of the dogs just wasn't going to fit with their vibe. It was a little bit more kind of like wary, whereas these girls needed probably something a bit more energetic and easygoing. And then we found the perfect dog for them to foster. So every dog's different, which is super important. You got to learn the dog first before, taking it out. So it is a journey, especially in these city shelters where they might run things a little bit more strictly. If you're volunteering there, you start by just getting to know the dogs on the outside of their kennels.
Right.
Then you move into the next stage where you're allowed to take out the easy dogs, the dogs under like 25 pounds and the ones that are super docile. Then you move to level 2, the ones that are hard pullers, hard players that are a bit more difficult to handle. Then there's level 3 that only specific volunteers are allowed to handle, right? So the goal is to get to level 3. That takes a long time. So I'm at the second level because mostly it's just hard pullers, hard players, which, the pulling's no good, but I don't mind playing a bit of tug of war and playing a bit of fetch. So I run around with these dogs a lot. Taking them out on the streets and walking around and finding just a patch of grass for them to sit on. Watching this dog that has been sleeping on concrete for however long. Some of these dogs are in kennels for their entire lives. So taking them out, they're sniffing, they're so excited to be out, and then getting to a patch of cool, fresh grass and just seeing them totally like spread out and relax on the grass and just like panting, looking at the world, getting a pat. It's so beautiful. And it would be great if all the dogs could experience that, in a home setting, in a loving setting. So it makes me happy seeing that,
How are you not getting attached to every single one of them and wanting to bring them home? I think that would be the toughest part for me.
That is the toughest part. And I got to say, Jen, the first month I was there, which is why people tend to steer away from volunteering at dog shelters, it's because it is bloody hard. Seeing these dogs, especially the dogs that have already come from homes and either their owners have died or gone to prison or just abandoned them. The dogs that were previously, and we're getting the spits out here, sorry, Jen. But
that's okay.
The ones that came from a loving home and don't understand why they're there and immediately are good dogs and like offer you their paw because that's what they've been trained to do, to shake. They're the hardest ones. But it just means that there are dogs out there that are already housebroken, know how to walk, are not going to pee on your house, are not going to tear things up. There's a perfect dog out there for you in a shelter somewhere. You don't necessarily have to go and buy a purebred from a farm. So, but I understand why people want that. That's fine. But if you're on the fence, go to the shelters. There is a dog there for you, 100%. If it's not in that shelter, it's in the one suburb over. So they're beautiful dogs there. The only reason I don't take any of them home is because I am never home. So it would look there, but in saying that, a dog is in a shelter, is in its kennel at the shelter 23 hours a day. If you leave for work for 8 or 9 hours a day and the dog's alone for that long, it's still less time that it's alone on a concrete floor. So think about that. My scenario, I cannot wait till I can adopt a couple of dogs. With an allergic housemate and me not being home, doesn't quite work out. But it will for me one day. And I've had dogs, I know how to handle dogs. And there's been a couple that I've fallen in love with. Some of these puppies just, you play with them and you're like, and they bond to you, which is the hard thing. They love seeing you. They remember you because you're the one that played fetch with them and ran around with them. So that's also really hard. But if it's hard for you, guess what? It's probably even harder for the dogs. So go in there, see them, spend time with them, and that'll help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
that.
It's
tough. It's a tough old business. So thanks for dealing with me on that.
No, that's because
spell.
that was probably the one thing I was interested in and wanted to ask you, because I just, I mean, I get emails from our local shelter here all the time. They're like, we just need people to come in and sit in the cat room with the cats all day. And we have 2 cats. We can't have dogs because my daughter's just not a big fan of dogs, but we have 2 cats. And I'm like, I would come home with every single one of them. I mean, that whole like try to like compartmentalize, like, this is my volunteer work. I cannot bring them home with me. I just think that would be, I'd be thinking about them like
right.
I don't know if I can do it.
Look, that absolutely does happen. I find myself when it's like raining outside, I'm like, oh, I know this dog, and this dog are in the leaky shelters. Like, they're getting rained on right now. You know, like it is hard. But I always go back to thinking, I feel badly about it, but that doesn't change the dog situation. So I still try and go in and help when I can. So if you can think about it in that way, that's the only way to really get through unscathed emotionally.
Yeah.
But it's difficult. It is hard, and it's not for everyone. But there are other things you can do. Donate. You can assist the shelters in other ways. If it's just not your thing, there are plenty of other nonprofits and things out there you can help with. So do what you can. That's all you can ask for.
All right, let's talk about your podcast.
Okay, Blondies.
Blondies Out Loud.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I do. And so I want to know how it started. It's a wild
ride, isn't it?
It is quite a wild ride. So I'm curious to know how it started, you know, how you and Daxton met, because I don't think I know that story. And yeah, so just, and the name, I love the name. I mean, that's just, it's perfect.
Thank you, Daxton, for the name.
Okay, it was perfection. So how did it start and how did you guys meet?
So Daxton and I met on a little show we did. You can watch it streaming. I don't know if I can even say. I'm going to avoid that. We're just not allowed to say these things.
We met on a set. You met on a set.
We met on a very fun Christmassy set. And Daxton's one of these guys who you just know who he is immediately. And that is, I'm attracted to people like that. I find if you're not closed off, you're not trying to play any macho character, you're just you. It's very interesting to me, and it's very easy to get to know someone like that. And Daxton's that way. He's just very personable, very likable. And we've both started this Blondies podcast together, Blondies Out Loud, where we talk about life, we play fun games, we have amazing guests on, and we really enjoy that. We put a lot of effort into it. We are almost at number 20. I think we released 19 this weekend. 18 dropped today. So 18's out. So go listen to episode 18 today. And we're getting close to cracking the 20. We do one every week. And it brings me so much joy. It's so fun. Daxton's a little sassy. And I'm not that way. So so it works out really well. Our podcast is about allyship. Daxton's LGBTQ representing, and I'm straight. So we have this fun kind of banter. There's a few episodes there where we interview this couple, and I get grilled on my lack of gay knowledge, which is fun. I didn't know what the term cruising meant, but they educated me. So it's laugh out loud. It's fun. It's picking fun at the Blondies, who are blonde in color and blonde in nature. I'm not going to say I'm the sharpest tool of the shed ever, but you can go learn that for yourself on Blondies Out Loud.
I love it. How do you get your guests? I mean, how do you figure out who you want on, and how do you get them?
Great question. You know, Dax and I work really well together because I'm new to America. I don't know really anyone here. Like, I knew maybe one person. All my family are very, very, very far away. So I'm starting from scratch here in LA. Daxton, he knows a lot of people.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's a personable dude. People like him. People want to speak to him. So Dax is our connects guy. He's got the connections. He's got big ideas. And I'm the legwork guy. I make sure everything happens when it needs to happen. I'm putting the podcasts out. I'm doing emails, which, you know, there'll come a time where I'll also be the connects guy and I'll catch up with Dax. But for now, that's our duo. We work really well together. And, you know, it's reaping its rewards. The podcast is only like 3 months old, and we've doubled our listener base last month. So we're very happy with how things are going. If you just want to laugh, if you just want a dumb couple of friends to banter with in your car ride to work, your Blondies are there for you.
Yeah, it's good. It's
and
really
you used
good.
to be blonde, Jen.
I was. I
You
mean,
used to
I
be a
was
blonde.
hoping that maybe we could do like me and you, and it could be like the blonde and the brunette,
Yes.
you know,
We
something
need,
like
we,
that.
over at the Blondies, we always need the brunette perspective. So now that you're a brunette, you can come
I think
on,
you should
tell us
bring
a
me on
little
as
bit
a
of knowledge.
guest. I'm feeling like I mean, I have
I
some
see. I think
stories.
it's a no-brainer. Let me run it past the Connects guy and get him to approve it. I'll be like,
You
no,
let
I
me
just want
know.
one guest, Axton. Just give me one guest. Jen's
You
coming
can say
on.
you found me. It was a whole thing. I mean,
Thank you. Yeah. That's
yeah,
right. That's right.
I'll be your person for sure.
Consider it done.
All righty.
We're also going to have, again, we can't talk about it too much, but we're going to have a bunch of guests on from the same show Dax and I were on. We've already had a couple of them on,
Yes.
which is a really fun perspective to get because everyone's so different, the people on this show. So we're going to have, I think 5 more guests from that show on. Yeah, we'll get through everyone.
Do you all stay connected? Like, is there
Yeah.
like a group chat? Like, is there like
Yeah. Every few days, there's comments back and forth in the group chat. Such a great group of guys. Genuinely, really great group of guys.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky to know them. Now I know a whole lot of people in the US, all over the US.
When did you come to the US?
Back in when was it? 21 was when I first came, but I didn't settle in LA till 2022, start of 2022.
Okay.
So it's been, 3 years now.
Yeah.
It's finally started to feel like home. The first 2 years were like transitory, hard, job-wise, the market-wise here. In the acting world, there was the writer's strike. Everything's weird after COVID. Tough. But last year was the first year I was like, okay, LA's home. That's what it feels like. And I went back to Australia for my sister's wedding in September last year. So, and while I was there, I was like, okay, like I'm ready to get back to California, get back home,
Yeah,
Which
that's how you know.
I hadn't felt that way before. That's how you know, right?
That's how you know.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
LA's home now.
I love that. Yeah, I'm originally from Pennsylvania, which is like, in the Northeast. And I moved here in 2003. So it's been 22 years that I've been here. And when I go back, it doesn't quite, it's my hometown, but it doesn't quite feel like home anymore. I mean, this is more my speed than central Pennsylvania.
Right. Okay, look, again, I haven't been to pretty much, pick anywhere on the East Coast.
Where have you been in the
I've only
States?
been to New York City.
Okay.
If you were to draw a straight line from Texas through the whole of America, I've been to every state on the west side. Every state.
Okay.
But on the east side, I've only been to New York City. So I got travels to do, Jen.
Yeah.
Travels to do.
We have a guest room here in our house. So
now I know someone in Florida.
So my husband is a surfer. There are waves and there are waves here.
Okay.
But he surfs a paddleboard, like a longboard, with a paddle, and he does like races and stuff. But we have like 5 paddleboards in our garage.
He can go teach me how to get up there on the paddleboard.
There you go.
Has he ever, do you guys have foilers out in the ocean there? Have you seen yeah, foilers are everywhere right now.
Yeah. Yep. They sure are.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it, but.
No, he hasn't either. I don't know. I was like, dude, you turned 50 this year. Let's like put it,
Maybe not do the foiling phase.
Let's not do that. But.
Great. No, that's fantastic.
Funny.
We'll get out there, have a little surf. I do like to surf kind of like larger boards. My skills on the shorter boards have degraded over time. Haven't surfed in a long time. But give me a mal and boy,
it's
running
like
up
a
and down that
table.
thing.
Yeah. You're not gonna go anywhere.
I much prefer a long chill wave than an intense short wave.
Yeah. And that's what these
my
are.
speed.
I'll have to send you. He has a whole Instagram account where he edits all of his videos of him surfing. He has a GoPro in the front. So that's
Nice.
like that's his hobby. He's an IT guy. So that is like his outlet of,
Good for him.
just,
That's
he
please
loves
send
it.
me that. I'd love to check it
He
out.
loves it. It's so cool. I don't do it. That's just not I'd rather sit outside
You're more
with my
like
squirrels.
Right, squirrels chill on the beach,
Yes.
hang
I'll
out.
go to the beach and chill, but I'm not, no. Water sports are not really my thing.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, in Australia, I'm pretty sure like 90, maybe 95% of the population is on the outsides of Australia because everything else is desert. So we pretty much all grow up in the water in some fashion. So
yeah.
it's just, that's why I'm going to love Florida. The weather's real similar to
It's
where
nice.
I'm from.
Don't come in the summer. If you come in the summer, you'll never come back. So you need to come January, February, like our winter, which is really like our spring here, is gorgeous. But once hurricane
Really?
season hits, it is 100 degrees and like 100% humidity. You can't even
Wow.
breathe. It's so hot. I mean, it's
Okay, noted.
but yeah, January, February, March, or even like November, right around Thanksgiving, although we can still have
Okay.
hurricanes around Thanksgiving, but like Christmas time, like December, January, February are really, really nice months
Okay.
to
That's
visit.
a tip from a local.
Yeah.
there.
I mean, yeah, you definitely, people are like, oh, let's go to, Florida summer break. I'm like, you're never going to come back. Like, it is so bad. It's so
Don't
hot.
do it.
It's so
Right?
hot. Oh,
Okay,
it's
deal.
terrible. So one other question I wanted to ask you. So if you could have any guests on your podcast, do you have like a dream guest, like someone that you're like dying to talk to?
A dream guest. Well, listen, Daxton and I are both actors. So that's where, it's why we met on that show. And so mine are traditionally actor related.
Okay.
I'm so inspired by many people. Christian Bale's probably my favorite actor. Be interesting to have him on. And more recently, like in the past few years, Timothée Chalamet is just on my radar as like the current kind of superstar when it comes to acting. I can't say I've seen the Bob Dylan film. I forget the title, but he's just exquisite. Call Me by Your Name. My God, he's so intelligent. His acting choices are like dangerous and exciting. Like it reminds me of the films Leonardo DiCaprio made back when he was younger, like Basketball Diaries, things like that. I was like,
and like starting
actually,
up.
Right. Basketball Diaries and Call Me by Your Name are kind of reminiscent of each other in some way, now that I'm thinking about it. But he kind of reminds me of that. And I find him very inspiring for my craft.
Yeah.
So let's put Timmy Tim on there.
You made Tim on there. There was what was the
was it a BAFTA?
No,
it was something recently.
Well, it was something that was televised. There was something on just before the Oscars. I don't know why I'm blanking on it because I love awards season. I watch all of them. I can't remember, but his acceptance speech was so good. Because he was like, I know not many people say this, but I want to be the best. Like, I want to be the best at my craft. And it was just so like,
I think I saw that.
I want to learn from the best and I want to be the best. And I think, how amazing is that?
It is amazing. And he said, I think an insecure person might look at that and be like, he's full of himself.
Right.
The way he said it, he's modest in the way he says it. It's just a genuine feeling he has. It's not coming from ego.
Yeah.
Which is
so good.
Yeah, it's a beautiful combination. Hard for people to pull off, but he's got it. He's got it in spades.
He did it beautifully. Yeah, beautifully. What are you watching right now? Because you're an actor, are you into TV, movie? Like, what are we watching? What are we binging?
I'd love to be in a TV series, kind of drama-based, I think would be fun. Although, funnily enough, a lot of the things I get close to are comedy-based, which is not how I saw myself, which is funny because I'm watching Severance right now, as is the entire world. And Adam Scott, who plays the lead Mark Scout, he actually said something similar on an interview. He said before getting into Step Brothers, which he was on opposite Will Ferrell, and he said before then he saw himself as a dramatic actor. Traditionally, that's what he would be going towards. And then he found himself in all these comedies. And I was like, that's so interesting. I mean, he's obviously excellent in everything he does, and now he's in a thriller that's incredible. But yeah, I would love to be in something like that. Even what was that show with Kieran Culkin, who just won an Oscar? Cox and Sarah Snook, the one where they play the media conglomerate.
Yeah, and I'm totally blanking out, but I know what you're talking about.
Amazing. I'd love to do something like that. Genius writing, phenomenal acting, and so that's kind of my spiel, but I've come close to some comedies, which is super interesting for me. But hey, look, you take what you can get in this world.
Yeah, in this industry, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And theater's a no-brainer. I think most actors would say the same thing, as theater is kind of just an undeniable thrill, such a learning experience, and that's where you really get your hours in of practice and learning. So yeah, the theater world's always going to be in my perspective at some point as well.
Last question. What's next? I mean, you have the podcast, you're doing, the charity work with the dogs. I mean, you say you're a busy guy and you're never home. What are we doing? Okay. Where are you going?
I'm right. I'm very excited for this year. The Blondies podcast is a subsidiary of our production company, the Blondies Media, and we have a bunch of things in the works, a lot of things that need to be approved going forward. There's a lot of red tape we have to snip our way through, but there's lots happening in the Blondies world outside of the podcast. Obviously, the podcast is a weekly thing as well, so that's something we're going to continue. So hopefully, the end of the year is a lot busier. This front end of the year is kind of front-loaded with all the emails and legwork trying to get things working. So that's exciting. I love this period that I'm in right now. I am hopefully traveling a little bit at the end of this year. I've got some friends and family all over the world, like I said. So hopefully I can spend some time with some family this year and more time with the dogs. If I can spend 2 days a week at the shelter, that's been my goal. Couple of weeks with sickness and things, I've only made it one time, but 2 times is the goal. And then I'd love to create a world in the near future, maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, where I'm there more often than not. I don't know how people make a living off helping these dogs, but if I can work out a way to do that, that would make me incredibly happy. Acting world, there's always auditions coming through. I'm currently looking for new management in the LA area, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
And hopefully some more auditions come through. But it's busy, trying to stay on top of physical health as well. That's a huge thing for me. I get into the gym 6 days a week. So it's busy, but I prioritize sleep because I know that's essential. And on the days I can't, I have extra coffee. So yeah. No, it's busy, but we're in the brewing stage.
Yeah.
Right now. So it's exciting. It's very exciting.
It is exciting. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
What's next for you?
Oh,
Who's your next guest?
My next guest. Well, I have a couple in the works right now. Melissa Peterman is probably going to come back. I just love chatting with her so much. Melissa Peterman, Cindy Busby, who has done some things in the Hallmark world. And I shouldn't say some things. She's done a lot of movies in the Hallmark world. Andrew Walker probably will hopefully come back.
You've done...
Cindy's going to actually talk about, she's an animal lover, and she is going to highlight the Pasadena Humane Society.
Yeah.
So that's what she's going to be talking about. And I think I have another
They did a lot of work. I can't wait to learn more about that from her. So great.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. I'm trying to think if there was anybody... I do reach out to bigger names. I don't always hear back. And if I do, it's like, they're not doing press right now. But I'm like, it's not really press. Like, I don't even care about their movies. Like, I just want to know, like, what charities they're working with and try to, elevate that. That's all. Like, they don't have to have anything.
That's the beauty of this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to coincide with any of it. I mean, I can even re-air these if I want to. If y'all still doing the work, we can re-air them. We can do another campaign. I mean, there's so many things, but yeah, it's funny. But there are a couple of shows. It's so funny. I'll be watching, something on Netflix or whatever, and I'll find like the actors that aren't like the main character, but subsequent characters that I still fall in love with, and I'll find them on Instagram and I'm messaging them like, hey, do you have a charity that you work with? I'd love to have you on my podcast. So, I spend a few hours a day, kind of doing that to see who I can land.
Amazing.
That way, but it doesn't always work out. But I have my IMDb Pro account, so I can reach out to their agents, and there is a lot of legwork before doing all of this to get them, and then see what you can talk about.
You know what? Agents are great for actors and things like that. Sometimes they get in the way though. So if you're an artist in some way and you have a cause that you want to help, make it happen if you want to make it happen.
I know. Just make it happen. And I'll tell you, more of them actually respond on social media than I would think that they would. So
interesting.
It does work out that way. So hint, if you want somebody and you can't get them, try to just reach out on social media. I'm going
to take that advice.
Seriously. Yeah. So
wow, thank you so much for having me. This has been, it's just been such a blast. I'm pumped. Let's go raise some money for some dogs.
Let's go raise some money for some dogs. I love it. I'm so excited. I'll talk to you later.
Lovely to meet you, Jen.
Okay,
thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
A big thank you to Hayden for sharing his heartwarming mission with Dates with the Dogs. It's clear that these pups are in great hands. If you're feeling inspired and want to support Hayden's cause, make sure to check out the links in the description or visit heartsofstarstv.com/podcast/dates with the dogs. Every little bit makes a big difference. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and join us next time for more heartwarming stories. Until then, keep making the world a better place.